Are we live?
Hi guys.
Hi guys.
We're live.
Hi. All right. How's everyone doing today?
Okay, we are live and I think the camera is set up and the lighting is good. And we already have people here with us.
It is so exciting.
So exciting. We have Ed. Hi Ed.
Hi Ed. We missed you last week. We're so glad you were able to join this week. And it's not just us. Literally everyone was asking, "Where's Ed?"
In the
Where's
chat
Ed?
in the chat room. Yeah. And David. Hi David.
Hi David.
Howdy. And we have Julie too. Hi Julie.
Hi Julie.
And Ting.
Hi Ting. Hi everyone.
Oh good. This is gonna be a good live.
Alright, just to start off the day, because I'm seeing you guys are getting ready. We ready? 1, 2, 3. I love that. I absolutely love it.
Okay, you guys. Well, this is going to be our last live before the Thanksgiving holiday. As you can see, we did little festivities.
Little decorations.
Little Thanksgiving festivities.
We just started with our decorations, and we'll decorate throughout the next week. Kind of looking forward to it. What are you guys' plans for Thanksgiving? We're just going to be spending it
Hi,
really
Sunshine.
Small. Hi, Sunshine. Hi.
And Jenny. Hi, Jenny.
Oh, I love it. Julie's saying she loves the decorations. She likes the decorations.
Oh, thank you, Julie.
Yeah. It's actually really cool because when Zane and I got together... When Zane and I got together, she really taught me how to decorate for every holiday and every season. So now it's really fun. We get decorations for fall, which is around Thanksgiving, decorations for Christmaka, Hanukkah, Christmas, New Year's. We have decorations for the summer. It's really fun.
Yeah.
All year round.
Have to accessorize.
Yeah, yeah.
Have to accessorize the home.
So we're just going to be doing a small Thanksgiving as everyone else, just with really family. That's basically it. Just mom and sister.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's going to be small.
Well, you guys, before we get into it, and before we get into our Q&A, and some of you guys have already sent over some of your questions to us.
Yes.
So before we get into that, oh, hi, Miriam.
Hi, Miriam. Hi.
But before we get into that, I just want to say thank you for everybody who signed up for the newsletter. That is the best way to stay up to date with all things House of DMaaj. We also have a new option on the newsletter, so you can sign up for all of the House of DMaaj updates, or you could just sign up for the major updates. So that is where you'll get all House of DMaaj information on our newsletter at houseofdemaj.com.
Yes.
Stay up to date.
Yes. We'll try to make something more regular after the New Year's, but it's going to be nice to just be able to...
Oh, thank you, Miriam.
Everyone. Is that nice?
Yes, thank you, Miriam.
You have no idea the difficulties I had with makeup today, so that really means a lot today.
It has been
It
has been
a
real.
challenge. It's really funny because I think last time you had a challenge, this time it's my turn, so you know, it's going back and forth, but we're doing it, making it happen.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So we know that Ed is okay, thank goodness.
Yes.
That's good.
And David is okay.
David is okay as well. We missed you too, David. Everyone was asking about you guys. So, all right. We actually, it's kind of fun because it's our last one before Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Ed.
Ah, yeah. Isn't that gorgeous? I really hope it shows on camera. It's literally like almost like neon. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
In person. Absolutely
it's
gorgeous.
Really hard to keep on the eye though.
Yeah.
It likes to not stay on.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, well, first question we got was regarding Candace Owens.
Yeah.
And that whole feud. So I'm really curious to know what you guys think about it.
Well, first, would love to know if you guys know what we're referring to. The Candace Owen, most recent take on masculinity, America and masculinity. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Harry Styles did a photo shoot Harry Styles did a photo shoot for Vogue in a dress. It's the first time that a male is on Vogue, especially male wearing a dress.
Yeah.
And
he also did photos of him wearing a kilt, a couple of different variations of a kilt as well.
Yeah. And Candace Owen basically came out with a tweet saying there is no society.
Oh, wait, hold on. Miriam, it says that you're experiencing a blurry video. Is anybody else experiencing the same thing?
Oh.
Are you guys able to see us? Are you able to hear us? If you are able to hear us and see us, give us a thumbs up.
Yes.
That would be good.
Hopefully it's just you. On our end, it looks like it's fine.
Clear video
Clear
here.
video.
Okay.
All right. Perfect.
I follow Candace. Okay.
Awesome.
Oh, Julie says it's blurry. Okay, so we're
It
getting
is blurry. Ooh.
some blurry, some not blurry. I don't know if there's anything we can do on our end about it.
Yeah, I don't know if there's... sorry, guys.
Hopefully
it won't be so blurry.
Okay,
And
hopefully.
Sunshine is saying that it's fine. She
Okay,
gives us a
Sunshine.
thumbs up.
Okay, so we're just gonna move on. Hopefully, it's not blurry anymore for you guys.
Yeah, I hope so. Sorry about it, guys.
Candace Owens.
Yes. Okay. So actually, Ed said that he follows her and he really likes her perspective. So do we. We love her
Yes.
perspective. She's really smart, very young, which is very, very
What is
impressive.
she, like 20?
I think she's like 28 or something now, right?
Yes.
Very, very impressive. Okay, so this is what she tweeted.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, yeah. Well, I'm watching you on... Love it. 100-inch screen? Oh my god, we must be literally taking up the whole wall. So, okay. So she tweeted, there's no society that can survive without strong men. The East knows this. In the West, the steady feminization of our men at the same time that Marxism is being taught to our children is not a coincidence. It is an outright attack. Bring back manly men. So it was really, really interesting. She obviously got a lot of heat for it, for tweeting that. A lot of people called her, I think, homophobic and, you know, a whole bunch of, you know, the usual, you know, words that the left throws out at conservatives when, you know, conservatives disagree. Personally, it's really funny because obviously we're men wearing dresses.
Yeah.
So, you know, on this one, I don't necessarily agree with her. I completely see where she's coming from, though. I think the problem is not necessarily men wearing dresses. It's a feminization of men in our society. It's a feminization of society in general. And it's almost like it's a planned, you know, social construct to feminize men in the Western world. And, you know, I have no problem with men wearing dresses. Again, you know, I think looking at dresses as an issue is actually incredibly superficial. Who cares, right? If a man wears a dress and doesn't. And also, what is this idea of manly men, right? I know a lot of, you know, what would be considered manly men on the outside from a superficial level, wearing the right things, speaking the right way, you know, having that like manly, you know, attitude and everything else that comes with it. But a lot of them, you know, they could have, I don't know, alcoholism issues, drug issues, could be wife beaters. You know, there's a lot of different things that, you know, these supposed manly men could do that is, you know, things that are not at all manly, you know, in our opinion.
Yeah, I think it really, honestly, it all comes down to, like, what do you define masculinity as? You know, I think, you know, I mean, for us, for example, like, I would consider, you know, certain things outside of drag that we do are very masculine. And I think, you know, just because, you know, we're wearing dresses and, you know, we do drag and we like the art form of drag, doesn't necessarily mean that we're not masculine.
Right. Oh, absolutely. It's really funny because I think in some ways, you know, me being a gay man and a drag queen, I think in some ways I'm actually more masculine than a lot of my friends. You know, I did wrestling in school. I'm, you know, physically very active. I like challenges. And, you know, there's a lot of manly, quote unquote, activities that I do that a lot of my male, manly friends don't do. And so I think, you know, this idea of manly versus not manly, you know, that really is, it's a, you know, I think it's very fluid what could be considered manly and what isn't. And again, you know...
also, what's feminine?
And also what's feminine, absolutely.
Is wearing a dress considered feminine? I mean, you know...
Well, it's kind of interesting, right? Because the idea is, I mean, what she's saying is, you know, the East knows this, the West knows this, you know, it's an attack, bring back manly man. And I'm just thinking, Scotland and Ireland, they have kilts. Greece has the fustanella. Fiji has the solo. Burma has the paschov. Bhutan has the go. Egypt has the galibaya. Africa has the kikoi. Let's not forget Polynesian men. They wear dresses. Indian men wear dresses. In Hawaii, aren't the men wear dresses as well?
Grass skirts.
Grass skirts, right? So this idea that you have to be a woman to wear skirts it's just not historically correct, and the idea that the East knows this and the West doesn't is also not true, because in many Pacific countries, men wear dresses, or what they call sarongs, another word for skirts, and that's in many Pacific countries. So, men wear dresses in Africa, men wear dresses in the Middle East. In the East, I think Africa would be considered and the Middle East would be considered a fairly manly society. India, of course, is, I think, the most chauvinistic, manly society on the planet. Literally, I think it was voted by a study that I read where, the worst country to be a woman is in India, and, it's a very chauvinistic, male-dominant society, and men wear dresses there. So, to me, this was just a whole hoopla about nothing, and it's actually kind of, I love Candace Owens. I've been following her forever.
Yeah.
I think she's absolutely amazing, smart, and it would be such an honor to, meet her one day.
Definitely.
But having said that, I kind of feel like, this was more of just, attention grabbing. She's been having very loud feuds lately with a lot of high profile people, a lot of celebrities. And I just feel like maybe this one was just kind of an easy target with Harry Styles. I know nothing about Harry Styles, not a fan of his, don't know him, don't kick it with him, don't care about him, don't listen to his music, know nothing about him besides the fact that he's, an ex-One Direction member. And if you ask me the other names of the One Direction people, I literally would have no idea who they are. So, I have nothing for or against this guy. It's just him wearing a dress, I don't think it affects his masculinity.
Who cares? Who cares? I will say this, Candace Owens does actually bring up a really good point, though, about masculinity being eroded within American culture. And if you look at it historically, we've already been here before. Like, if you look back in the 1840s, I was going to actually write my honor thesis on masculinity within American culture. And when I was doing my preemptive research on masculinity within American culture, I found it very interesting because they were also back then with men becoming more and more feminine, or more and more lazy, or being disconnected from nature. So they created organizations like the YMCA back in the 1840s to not only focus on men's Christianity, but also on their physical attributes and focusing on the masculinity. So, we've been here before. Yeah. There's a lot of cycles. I know another thing that Candace Owens talked about was normal versus weird. That is a push towards more weird people now.
Which is such a,
it's all cycles. Everything goes in a cycle. We have like normalcy in one thing, and then then the weird is embraced, and then normal, and then the weird.
I really like what Sunshine is saying. Sunshine said there are beta males and alpha males, same as with women, but to berate an alpha for being too manly is wrong, just as doing the same to beta males for not being too manly. I'm assuming because it's not a finished sentence, but basically I completely agree, and I think it is wrong to berate alpha and beta males. In general, think about it this way. Rome had an empire, of over 1,000 years, right? Of a Roman Empire where they conquered almost the entire world. And all those guys that conquered the world basically did it in really short skirts. What would today be considered a mini skirt, okay? Those guys are men. They were manly men wearing skirts. And if they were able to, have this massive empire and conquer the world, basically, I don't have any problem with it, right? Not at all. Actually, Alexander the Great conquered, the known world wearing very short skirts. Very short skirts. So, Julie, oh my goodness, thank you so much. Thanks so much for
thank
hanging
you,
out with us tonight. Love ya.
Oh, thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Julie. Oh my goodness, thank you. Here, let's drink to Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers, everyone. Hopefully everyone has a drink and some snacks.
Ed, I love that you were in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts. So was I. I was also in CSB, Christian Service Brigade. And I will tell you that it like taught me so much, not only about like nature, but how to survive, you know,
Oh yeah.
all alone. And I think those are amazing organizations.
I love it. So many Eagle Scouts, Boy Scouts. I did the Israeli version of Scouts, which was really fun as well. I was actually a counselor, which I absolutely loved. So this is very cool, and it's actually kind of sad because a lot of these organizations are seeing declines in memberships and kids that are attending.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually really, really sad. You know, because it's an entire generation that's losing out.
They should bring back home ec.
At schools,
at
yeah.
schools,
Yeah.
and you know, walk kids in nature.
Yeah, why not? I took home ec in school. I loved it. Granted, I mean, I love anything home ec, so I don't know. So, all right. I mean, I'm just kind of curious to see, like, it's actually been kind of cool because been able to read some of your comments regarding what you guys think about this. And David had a really good point too, where he said, I think it's just, you know, what did you say, clout hunting or something? Which I thought was a really good point, David. It just seems like
Cloud chaser.
Cloud chaser. There we go. I think that was a really good point. I agree. Again, I really love Candace Owens. I think what she's doing is incredible. I'm so glad that she's suing Facebook, and I hope that's just the beginning. You know, all of these, all of these social media companies need to be sued. You know, for everything that they're doing, and you know, shadow banning, fact checking, all of these things that are really one-sided, right? Choosing these people to fact check who are clearly very, very one-sided, and they choose which facts they want to check. You know, and check even opinions that have nothing to do with facts. So I'm very glad about what she's doing. I just think on this one she's completely wrong. And I think it's also like doesn't help society because it really looks at people and men in a very superficial way, not, you know, what you're doing, what you're about. What does it mean to be manly? Like, I mean, if I'm gonna wear like an army jacket and, you know, some army boots, am I gonna become manly man all of a sudden? I mean, like, what is that? You know, is it really that superficial, or does it have a little bit more?
Yeah, I think we're past
meaning
that.
to it? Yeah.
I think we're past that.
So, I don't know, just kind of a thoughts. Yeah. All right, guys.
I just love it. I mean, so many of you guys have been a part of Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts. I think camping. I think all of those things are really definitely character building, and also to theater as well.
Oh yeah.
Theater, both of us.
No, it all builds character. I mean, like, I know, you know, going to, you know, the Israeli version of Boy Scouts was really, really great for me. It really opened so many doors and really opened my mind, and I made some lifelong friends as well, you know, and it's really cool because I started going as a teenager, became a counselor, and I still talk to the people who were my counselors when I was going. So it really is very, very special. But again, I mean, I took wrestling, I did, you know, judo and karate, and I also took dance lessons. So I danced for years, which was really, really fun, and performed literally everywhere. It was, you know, so cool. So, you know, again, it's so fluid, right? I mean, it's really fluid. I would go wrestling, you know, practice one day, and then, you know, the following day, literally, I'd had my dance practice. So. Yeah, no judgment on this end.
Absolutely not.
Right? All right. Do you guys have any other questions, by the way, regarding Candace? Because that was a question that we got from a couple of you, which I thought was really, really cool. We really wanted to talk about it, so the fact that people were asking about it was even better. We also got a few questions about Georgia and like what we think about Georgia. But if you guys have any other questions, let us know. We'll answer them also. All right. So, okay, Georgia. I was asked, you know, if I think President Trump has a a chance of overturning the results of this election. And basically, to be honest with you, I think the chances are very
Toss
low.
the paper for moving on to a new subject.
All right. Yes. Let me.
There you go, Ed. Just for you.
Yes, I love doing that so much. It's so much fun. So yeah, okay. So Georgia, I was asked if I think Trump has a chance to overturn the results. Obviously, I think they're extremely low. And I think so far we have seen widespread, even evidence. There's actual evidence for widespread election fraud. However, it's not enough to change the results. Having said that, I still think that even though the results cannot be changed, we need to have the facts, come forward. We need to know what the extent of the election fraud is, how close the actual election was in reality. And the other thing is, this is something that worries me, is if we're going to overlook this election fraud, what is it going to do for the next election? And I also think that unfortunately the calls for election fraud are ringing hollow to a lot of people, just because 4 years ago Trump was also saying that there was election fraud, even though he won, and he was talking about the 3 million votes that were cast, and he was saying that these 3 million votes are illegal, which was the margin that Hillary Clinton had with the popular vote. And the thing is, yes, there were a lot of illegal votes. I highly doubt there were 3 million illegal votes. And I think what is really interesting is that...
Hi, DJ.
Hi, DJ. Let's see. Hi, gorgeous. Did you guys hear Trump reinstated the Supreme Court judges into these 4 states to skip a state in the process? Yeah, so it's really fascinating. I didn't hear specifically about this. So that is something that I'm so looking forward to reading about and finding out. So right after this live, I'm going to go and look that up. But I will say there's a lot of things that Trump is doing to basically either postpone, skip, really do anything he can to not certify the election results. However, it's most likely not going to work. I mean, that's just the reality of it. It's really sad because I really wanted him to win. And I think the election shows that his policies were actually incredibly popular, which is why Republicans are most likely going to be able to hold on to the Senate in Georgia. I'm really hoping, if we have 2 runoffs, if they just win 1, we'll be good in the Senate. And they were also able to, have incredible gains in the House, which is, again, very, very impressive. And it's very exciting, too, because obviously the gains in the House, but the Senate is so important because Biden is not going to be able to nominate and have any judges approved without the Republican approval. So that is, I think, incredibly important. And again, these results just show how much Trump's policies were so popular. Unfortunately, his response to cheating.
Hi, Justin.
Hi, Justin. Oh, I love it. Yeah, isn't the green so gorgeous?
Smashing hit.
Smashing hit.
Love it. Thank you, Justin.
So, it's just, it's very sad. Obviously, people are not happy with his response to Chibi. And also, I think it has to do with his personality. Again, I follow Trump forever. I love his personality. I love this bombastic kind of attitude. However, he messed up in the first debate. And I think it really, really cost him. And unfortunately, there's no second debate. So he didn't get a lot of chances to... to fix his mistakes from the first one, because we only had the third debate, so the first and the third, and it was just not enough. Having said all of that, there's a lot of things that Trump is doing. I don't think it's actually going to help, but I do think it's really important to keep the base, quote unquote, really engaged with what's happening. And the people that I know that are a part of the base are extremely engaged. Obviously, they believe that there was election fraud. I believe there was election fraud. Yes. I just don't think it was on a large enough scale to change the outcome of the election, but definitely on a large enough scale to potentially, listen, we might not be able to change the election, but who knows, if we're able to uncover the full extent of the election fraud in Georgia, maybe we don't need to do a runoff election. Maybe those 2 senators are Republican already. And, I have a few examples, just specifically in Georgia, because I was asked about Georgia, but... So election officials found thousands of uncounted ballots, right? This is something that I think everyone and most everyone knows. Most of them are for Trump. It's like 9 out of 10 are for Trump. When you find thousands, and there's only now, I think, a really small number of votes that separates Trump and Biden, about 12,000 votes.
Yeah.
That really makes a difference.
Oh yeah.
So that's, and those ballots are found. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's there, right? Thousands of uncounted ballots. We have 15,000 individuals who no longer live in Georgia that voted. 15,000 individuals that voted in Georgia that no longer live there. They're not residents of Georgia. It's illegal for them to vote in Georgia. 8,800 inactive voters who mysteriously just kind of happen to cast a ballot this election cycle. 8,800 inactive voters. And 14,000 low propensity voters, which those are voters who haven't voted yet in over 10 years. So all of a sudden, they were really, really, really inspired by Joe Biden's message of nothing. Basically of, hey, I'm not Trump. I guess that was the message.
I'm not the orange man.
Right? I'm not the orange man. 14,000 people who were so inspired by Biden, they haven't voted in over 10 years, and all of a sudden they all came out to vote for him. Yeah. I don't buy it. I don't buy that so many people. I don't buy that so many people, voted for Biden when they didn't even come out to vote for Obama. It just doesn't make sense to me, especially in a state like Georgia that has such a high black population. So again, what can be done about all of this? Unfortunately, not much. Not much. And part of the reason why is because we didn't have enough monitors that were present during the counting process. And that's something really, and that could be possibly one of the reasons why Trump is going to lose this or has lost this election, or will officially lose this election, depending on how you look at it. But part of the reason is because the Republicans were just not ready with their monitors. And it's very, very sad because there's a lot of things that were happening, monitors were pushed to the side. They were not allowed to view the counting from up close. So they weren't allowed to determine, accurate ballots from inaccurate ballots. They weren't allowed to, look at signatures. All of those things that make ballots real. A lot of the, a lot of those people were not able to look at them. But when you look at the monitors, not enough were provided by the Republican Party, and that I think can actually fail on President Trump because he should have seen this coming. He's already talked about this for so many years, about how this is going to be, there's going to be wide extensive fraud. He talked about it before the election, and to not have enough people monitoring the actual counts of vote, I think was a huge, huge mistake on the part of the Republican Party because they're the ones that are supposed to provide these monitors. And I think that was a really big problem. The other thing, as I was saying, a lot of monitors were forced to watch from too far away where they're not able to actually look at the ballots that are being cast and counted. Yeah. So what's the point if I'm standing 100 feet away and I'm not not able to see it? It literally means nothing. Yeah. Literally means nothing. Oh, so absorbing from the distance means absolutely nothing. Yeah.
Toss the paper.
Yes. All right. And of course, like challenging, these non-resident, inactive, and miracle voters out there. Like as I said, it's incredibly, incredibly important because it's important because we might not need to do a runoff election. These Republicans might have won outright because the margins for the senatorial candidates are smaller than what the margins between the presidents are in some cases. And I think uncovering this voter fraud and making it understandable to everyone. Not just to Republicans, but to independents and liberals alike, making it understandable enough to the point where everyone understands that, yes, there was election fraud. No, it wasn't enough to change the outcome of the election. But because of this election, if everyone is able to come together and agree on that, then we can have some kind of a mechanism, hopefully, in future elections to prevent it. But what happens is if every election we're having election fraud and, half the country believes it and half the country doesn't, we're never going to have a mechanism that actually, does something to prevent it in the future. Yeah. And so I think Republicans are right to pursue these recounts. I think they're right to try to slow everything down and stop everything. It's part of our Constitution. It's what makes this country so great. So Yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. That's just my kind of couple of couple of ideas about Georgia. But I'm just curious to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about Georgia? And then do you guys have any other questions that you want to ask? Works. Let's see, Tracy. I've counted ballots, and it doesn't work the way you're thinking. Even if a person was over my shoulder, the amount that they could see is minute. Thank you for saying that, Tracy. Actually, that's really appreciated. I think I agree. I mean, the amount that they could see is minute. I think the question is being too far away is, there's a lot of underhanded things that are happening. There's a lot of votes that were being propped up and all of a sudden found out of nowhere. A lot of votes that were disappearing. And I'm kind of curious, Tracy, when you were counting the ballots, did you have monitors next to you? Were they far from you? What was the distance? Was it like 6 feet away? Was it, shorter, more? Just out of curiosity how it was.
Yeah.
I think that would be really, really fascinating to know. It's kind of cool that we have a ballot counting person.
Very cool.
As part of our, House of DMaaj community.
Yes,
Yay.
thank you, Tracy, for joining us.
Yes.
I appreciate
Work.
it.
Yes. Work, Tracy. Are both on the same side of the political scale, and Tracy. 2 people count each ballot. It's checked and double checked. Okay, very, very cool. Tracy, where are you from? What state or city? Kind of.
Hi,
curious.
Amber.
Hi, Amber. Hi. So glad you were able to join us. And is it uniform in every state? So yeah, and I'm really curious actually. Is it uniform in every state? Because from my understanding, it's not. But you're the ballot counter, so I'm gonna take your word on it. And I'm really, really curious. It's just so cool that we have. So Seattle, Washington.
Seattle.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm really curious. Do you think is this something that is standard in every state? Does every state have their own practices? How does that work? Really, I'm really curious.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I'm also wondering if there's a difference, in different polling places where, maybe since you were counting in the Seattle, Washington area, it's quite clear that it's going to be very, very blue. It's going to be a very, very blue county and a blue area. So I'm wondering if there's a difference when it's really blue or really, really red, or if it's kind of down the middle and it's more contested. I wonder if they change the practices of the way they do things.
Yeah. I do want to say to all of the new people who are joining us now, welcome.
Yes, welcome.
This is our last live before the Thanksgiving holiday. We did a little Thanksgiving festivities. We hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving holiday moment. If it's either by yourself or with a small gathering or however you celebrate Thanksgiving, we hope everybody has a fabulous, fabulous Thanksgiving.
This is going to be our first vegan Thanksgiving, you guys, which is
Yes.
super hard when you're used to having turkey on the table and spiraled ham and all that good stuff that's not kosher but very delicious.
Yes, this will be our very first vegan Thanksgiving. It'll be an experience.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, this is our last live, and this is our, we thought we would do a Q&A live. So any questions that you have for us, this is just free for all. We'll talk about anything.
Yes, absolutely. So we talked about Candace Owens, and we talked about Georgia. There was one other question that I was asked, and I don't remember what it was. Oh, yeah. Do I think Trump is going to run in 2024? Because he's been, there's been reports, and he's been talking about this. And, honestly, I don't think he's going to run 2024. I think in the heat of the moment, and a lot of times when people lose elections, I remember when I was, I think I was 14, around the age of 14, I worked for a candidate running for mayor. And he narrowly lost the election, but I remember, at the end, worked really closely with this, guy running for mayor. And after he lost the election, I remember his kids were around him, and his oldest son was like, I'm gonna grow up and I'm gonna, run for mayor. Next election cycle, I'm gonna be over here. I'm gonna run. I'm gonna, beat this old mayor, and I'm gonna change things. And in the heat of the moment, people say a lot of things, but 4 years is a long time for a lot of things to change. And so I think, Trump is not gonna sit for 4 years doing nothing. He's going to either start his own network. He's going to, really try to rebuild his image and his brand. Both overseas and abroad, even though overseas his brand is actually doing quite well. Domestically his brand is not doing well and it's taken quite a bit of a hit, but overseas it's doing really well.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that if Trump is going to be out of office, he's going to want to consolidate, all of the successes that he's had overseas with his brand and really work on rebuilding the brand here in the US. And that could potentially be with a network. We heard about that. Something to compete with Fox News. And the OWN network.
Yeah.
So it'll be really, really, really interesting to see. I don't think he's going to run. I think too many things are going to change. I don't even think that the Trump kids are going to run, to be honest with you, because I think so much is going to change until then. And I think a lot of it is also going to depend on whether or not, Biden is president or we have Kamala as president. Because I think that's going to make a really, really big difference as well.
Yeah, that would make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Let's not hope for that.
I just spoke with my aunt this morning, and she asked me if I think Biden is going to hold up. And to be honest with you guys, I don't think so, which is really terrible. I remember I was really upset with people when they said McCain is too old, to be president because he was only 72. And obviously he's managed to, survive both, both election cycles, all 8 years of Obama. So he could have been an 8-year president easily, and maybe Biden will as well. I just, I don't know. Something's telling me, it's not going to happen. But I really hope that he does, because I'd rather have a Biden president than a Kamala president. So hopefully he does. But I think that also is going to make a really big difference. And what's going to make a big difference is what politicians are going to run. Because I think, we spoke about this here multiple times. I think Nikki Haley has an amazing opportunity and an amazing chance to be selected.
Yeah, Justin actually just said that he looked her up after our last live. And
oh, I love it. Yes, Justin. Yes. Okay, I'm so glad. I really love Nikki Haley. I mean, I've loved her before she was on the public, before she was even domestically known by everyone. I loved her before she was chosen for cabinet by Trump, before she was chosen as the ambassador to the UN. I loved her before she ran for president. From the moment she ran for governor, I immediately liked her. Immediately. And so I was extremely happy when she won her primary, when she ran for governor. I was extremely happy when she won as a governor. And she's extremely popular in her state. I don't know if that's still the case, but when she left, she really was. I'm assuming it still is the case, but you never know. I haven't checked her popularity ratings. But I know she's really popular among conservatives. She's viewed favorably among moderates.
Hi, John.
Hi, John. Hello.
And then people are also saying, what do we think about
Tulsi Gabbard? It's actually really interesting, So when I was first started to look at Tulsi Gabbard in a serious way, that's when she announced that she's running for president.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you guys, I thought she was kind of hollow. I didn't think there was much there.
Really?
I really didn't.
Interesting.
Having said that, I think I was wrong. She proved me wrong. She does have a lot of substance. She doesn't speak in a lot of details. She doesn't speak in a lot of. I don't think she's a policy hawk. Let's put it this way. But she actually has a lot of substance, and so I like her. I think for as a Democratic nominee,
yeah,
she would be great.
Yeah, she would have been better than Biden.
Oh, wait, are we who was that we're talking about?
Triumphant Wolf and Ed.
Yeah. Okay. Love it. So yeah, hopefully that kind of answered the question. And I think Miriam also said that she liked Nikki Haley saying that she needs to run for president since she stood up in the UN. Yeah, so she ran for president before she stood up for the UN. She actually ran for president in 2016. She just didn't get the nomination, but I think she has a really, really strong chance of getting it in 2024. possibly more so than Marco Rubio, which I think he has a really strong chance as well.
Really?
And I don't know what it's going to be like, because I think the Republican Party has become very like Trump's party, which I'm totally fine with. I have no problem. But I think up until recently, I think someone like John Kasich would have had a great chance if it wasn't for Trump. I think he really would have had a great chance. I don't see him having a chance within the Republican Party anymore.
No.
So yeah. And Julie says she was really liking Ted Cruz. Julie, so do I. I really like Ted Cruz. I don't think he has a chance. I think some people just have that like one moment, and I think in Ted Cruz's time that moment is past. I don't think he's gonna run for president again, and if he will run for president, I don't think it's gonna help him, nor his legacy, or like, really anything. So I think after running last time, I think he's learned. I don't want to say he's learned his lesson, but I think after running last time, I doubt he's going to run again. It really hurt him at home in Texas. It did not bode well for him. He actually lost support, even among his own constituents, which is why he had such a difficult re-election campaign. So I just don't see Ted Cruz running again for president, even though I think he would make a fabulous president. He just doesn't have that charisma that you need, and it's unfortunate.
I like him with the beard. The beard
helps.
helps.
It helps. It helps. It adds a little bit of charisma. That's true.
A little bit of charisma there.
Yeah.
The beard.
That's true.
So a lot of people are actually talking about Stop the Steal. That's the protest that's happening in a lot of different places tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. So, how many guys are you going? I know that Ted is going.
Ed
Ed is going.
Ed in Texas. You're talking about Ted, thinking of Ed.
It's very so we know that Ed is going. I'm curious to see how many of you guys are going. And then, of course, we were also asked about Ilhan Omar.
Oh, yes.
Which, Ilhan Omar, Triumphant Wolf. Yeah, so I think I probably have talked about her here and there multiple times, and I think I mentioned her name quite a bit in our podcasts, which the LGBT podcast is coming. Sorry about the delay. But
yes, it is coming.
Yes. But yeah, so, it's really interesting. Actually, Ilhan Omar genuinely scares me. Because I think it's very wrong to say someone is a traitor, to their country, or, call someone a traitor. It's very dangerous. It's very wrong. And, I could see how it would borderline, it could be, in some cases, even racist when you call someone of color a traitor because of their background. So I don't think she's a traitor necessarily, but I really don't think that Ilhan Omar loves America. I really don't. I don't even think she likes America. Maybe her idea of patriotism is fixing America and fixing everything that's wrong with America. I don't think she likes it, and it's really sad because I think America is an incredible place. It's not perfect, of course, but I think America is definitely one of the greatest countries in the world today, and I think we should all be proud to be Americans, even if there are things that we'd like to fix. And I just don't see a lot of pride in America based on what she says. I also think she's highly anti-Semitic, and I think she's really dangerous. I think that people like her and Rashida Tlaib, I think, are very, very dangerous to the American public because they're able to convince an entire generation basically of people who are following them, and really hang on to every word that they say, and they really are able to convince them that America is not a great place to live.
Yeah.
Because a lot of
convince them to be ashamed of America.
Ashamed, yeah. Ashamed to be American.
Ashamed.
And proud of the shame that they feel
Yes.
about America.
Yeah.
Because at least they're like, well, I'm ashamed to be American, therefore I'm a better person because I understand how terrible America really is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, a country cannot survive without its residents being patriots. Citizens need to be patriots in order for a country to survive. It just can't survive otherwise.
Yeah.
It's going to falter within, and I think that's what's happening, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so that really scares me, to be honest with you. And of course, being an Israeli, it scares me on a personal level because of her animosity towards Israel. she's incredibly anti-Semitic. She said multiple anti-Semitic things, and it's just astounding to me that you could be a liberal and a Democrat and say incredibly anti-Semitic things.
Yeah.
Be against anti-Semitic, be against legislation that prohibits and calls out anti-Semitism,
Yeah.
and prohibits discrimination based on race, based on religion, and all these things. She's against it because the wording was so strong towards specifically anti-Semitism. I think that's a real big problem. I really think it's a real big problem, and a lot of the supporters that I see that she has are really militant. I think a lot of Antifa supporters are probably also Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib supporters.
Ill-informed and militant.
Ill-informed and militant.
It's a very scary combination.
And when you have people like Ilhan Omar, who's basically, really promotes violence and incites it among the liberal, really progressive groups, that's really problematic for our country. So that scares me, and I'm just so grateful and glad that her, wing of the Democratic Party is not doing very well. And I'm really, really glad that Republicans were able to actually gain seats in Congress this election cycle. I think in part because people are seeing what's happening with the radical left, and they're scared as well. And that's why I think Republicans did as well as they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, see, a lot of people are either going to the protest or want to go to the protest.
Very cool, guys. Yeah.
I would just say, of course, as always, be safe, be careful. Violence is never the answer.
Yeah. So, I mean, a couple of the Facebook posts that we saw is people are basically going.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Lynn. Better late than never. We're just glad you're with us.
Yes, of course. Joining us on our last live before our Thanksgiving. Yeah.
So, okay. Well, be safe. We've seen quite a few people that are basically saying, we've had enough. Antifa, you effed up. And, you were, you did all these things. And now it's our turn. And I really hope that doesn't happen. It really sucks for Republicans. It really does. And it sucks for conservatives in general, and it really sucks for us because look at what's happening. When Republicans came to power in 2010, after the first horrible years of, Obama and, full majorities in Senate and Congress that Obama enjoyed, when Republicans came into power, they came thanks to the Tea Party. The Tea Party was a, quote unquote, radical version of the, Republican party. It was the far right of the conservative movement. Yet the Tea Party, the way that they came to power is by showing up to town halls, by debating their congressmen, their senators, their representatives. They would protest, and basically they would come, they would make a lot of noise, but they were peaceful. And, they really did a lot of the groundwork that allowed Republicans to, gain historic gains that up until, that moment have not been seen before.
Yeah.
So I think that is really, really important to keep in mind. That's the quote-unquote radical version of, conservatives and Republicans. And then the radical version of liberals and Democrats is basically Antifa. And that is a completely different idea, right? Antifa is not just an idea. It's not just an ideology. It's literally, a terrorist organization. It's now considered a terrorist organization that calls, for its citizens to learn how to fight so that they can go and fight, people who they disagree with. They train them on how to fight. And they literally, they show up at people's businesses, homes. They're all about violence. Their whole idea is that you could stop quote unquote fascism by being fascist first. That's the difference. And it really sucks for conservatives and Republicans because, look, we're doing everything right? The Tea Party did everything correctly. They came to power through mobilization, organization, lots of door knocking and voting. They're perceived really negatively in the media. And then you have, Antifa that people either don't talk about or they just give them excuses of why it's okay for them to be, so militant and violent. It's just not fair. And it's really, really sad. Having said that, I really hope that people, and I can see why people get so angry and so frustrated. And they're like, you know what? It's enough. It's time for us to stand up and fight back. But I think a lot of people generally, and I think that's why one of the reasons why Republicans did so well in the election, I think people generally do see what's happening, and they see the militantism that is happening on the left, and they're seeing the peaceful protests that are coming from the right, and I think it helps. And so even though the media doesn't acknowledge it, I think a lot of people at home do see it. And so I think if Republicans turn to violence, it's going to be a really big shame, because it's going to be blown way beyond proportion. It's going to be on all of the news channels. Everyone's going to see it, and all you're going to hear about is how Republicans turned violent, as opposed to they stood up for democracy, for fair results, and a fair election.
Amber was talking about how the walk away movement is going to the CNN headquarters tomorrow to protest.
Good. I hope they go there all the time, every day. I really do. I hope they protest there every single day.
And not just CNN.
And not just CNN. It's
all
really,
of them.
All of them. Yeah. Well, it's really funny, because I think the reason why CNN got such a bad rap is because you have MSNBC that is so completely just they pass CNN in their radicalism 10 times over, but when it comes to MSNBC, at least they're kind of upfront about who they are, whereas CNN, tries to pretend like they're neutral, and it's very obvious that they're not. And I think that's why they're seeing so many protests and so many angry people, and I hope we protest everywhere.
Yeah.
I really do. And I really hope Trump does. If he does not end up continuing another 4 years, which it looks like he's probably not going to, I really hope he actually does create another network, and I hope it's successful, because as Fox News is moving, more and more to the left.
Yeah.
And again, it's unfortunate. I don't blame them, because they're in the business of making money, and if advertisers are pulling out, they have to do something. And unfortunately for us, and maybe this is something that we need to learn from liberals, it's time for us to start calling, companies that advertise with CNN when they say, something horrendous, or with MSNBC, and say, we're not going to watch your, we're not going to buy your whatever, products anymore, if you continue to advertise at these networks, because I think that will also definitely help balance everything out quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I love that.
And Champion Wolf, I agree. Tucker and Laura do need to migrate to another network. Sean Hannity too. I would love for him to migrate to another network as well. Love him. And it's really interesting. Yeah, Amber is saying that Fox is toast, and it's true. And I think that's why now we don't have a conservative voice, right? So that's why I'm really hoping that Trump is going to be able to create another network. It's going to be a while. It's probably going to take a couple of years. So we're going to have this vacuum. But I think it's really necessary. I think it's really important. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's why so many independent people are coming up and with their news networks, which I think is great.
Yeah.
News networks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. John King said, "I teach my nephews, nieces, and cousins like I did my daughter. Never judge people as a whole, which is why I say there have been some good people in Somalia, but Ilhan Omar is not one of them." Yes, exactly. There have been good people in Somalia. I don't think that Ilhan Omar is one. Look, she might be a good person in general in her overall life. She's just not good for America. She just isn't. And I think it's really scary when I see the kind of support that she's getting, and when I see the kind of people that she attracts, because the people that she attracts are people that are angry at the U.S. They're ashamed of being American, and they're proud of their shame, and they're proud of the fact that they, want the demise of America. That's very sad. It's actually what's happening in the U.S. is what's happening in Israel in many ways. Israel has a very fair democracy, a very strong, vibrant, successful democracy. As part of that democracy, everyone gets a vote, including all of the minorities, Jewish or not Jewish, and whites or blacks, Muslim or Jews or Christian, everyone gets a vote. And what happens is in Israel, you now have about 15 seats in their 120 seat parliament that are part of the Arab coalition. It's Arab parties who joined together and created a larger coalition, which gave them 15 seats. It's a strong and large electoral power in the Israeli Knesset. But what's happening is that these Arab members of parliament are actually advocating the destruction of Israel. So they are actually going against the very system that allowed them to represent their constituents. They're going against that very system. They're calling for the destruction of Israel. They're supportive of the Palestinian cause. They're supportive of Hamas, of Hezbollah. They support Al Qaeda. All of these crazy things, and they're members of the Israeli parliament, right? Of the Israeli Knesset. And in Israel, that's something that actually a lot of Israelis are very proud of. And they're saying, look, we have these people who even hate our country, and even they get a fair voice, even they get a fair shake in government, and they get fair representation. So I think that's what's happening here now. We're starting to hear those voices that are basically calling and not directly, but through the policies that they're promoting, the end of the U.S. as we know it.
Yeah.
And if you talk to these Arab members of parliament, they'll say, look, we're not calling for the destruction of Israel. We're just we want to change Israel. Once you change Israel, it will destruct automatically within itself. That's what I think Ilan Omar, Rashida Tlaib are trying to do, and that's what AOC is also, I think, unbeknownst to her, is doing as well. I just don't think she really understands policy at all. I don't think she understands a lot of what she says. If you watch a lot of her interviews, it's a lot of talking points that she's rehearsed and knows, but if she's pressed against them and is questioned, she doesn't have the answers. That was before she got elected. That was after she got elected. Obviously, she's more seasoned now, and being parts of all these committees, obviously she understands a lot more.
Yeah.
But even so, there's a reason why a lot of the interviews that she does are with really nice people who are very supportive of her, because they don't ask tough follow-up questions.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Definitely. Something I've noticed, you guys were talking in the chat room about Candace Owen versus Blair White, the whole dispute that they had. And I just have to chime in and say, that's the thing that I love about the conservative Republican Party, is that we all are individuals, right? And we all have our own individual opinions and thoughts and beliefs. But with Candace Owens and Blair White, like they're their own individual. They could disagree, but they could disagree to agree.
Absolutely, yeah.
And still have the same political beliefs and still want to move forward in the same way, but just have their own individual ideologies, which I think that's so great.
That's great. What I loved, there was an interview that Blair White did with Ben Shapiro. It was great. It was short, 15 minutes, not too long, but it was really great because Ben Shapiro has spoken against, the trans community quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And again, you can agree, you can disagree, but what was really refreshing was seeing Blair White, a trans woman herself, interviewing Ben Shapiro and really kind of getting down to the nitty gritty and discussing all of this. So I thought it was really cool. It just shows how open the GOP and conservatism, the conservative ideology in general, is very, very accepting and very open.
Yeah.
And I think that's why so many people are trying to make it about race. Because by making it about race, you could say, look, they're not open, they don't accept you, and it's a very superficial level.
Yeah.
Because if people actually start paying attention, they'll realize just how big, conservatism is, what a huge umbrella it is, and, with so many tentacles that are, reaching in so many different directions. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, just, for example, for us, we love Candace Owens, and, we like what Blair White's doing, and we could start naming off a whole bunch of different people, but does it mean we agree with them 100% all of the time? I mean, look, we just talked about Candace Owens and something that we disagree with her on. But does it mean that, it's going to cause like a tension or like a divide where, we don't follow her or listen to her anymore? It's agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree,
yeah.
Justin asked, Ariel and Zane, I know it isn't necessarily political, but I'm curious about how you guys feel about adding queer to LGBT. I personally hate it, but I understand why people like it. Good question, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to go, or should I?
Go ahead.
Okay, Justin, personally, I don't hate it. I think what I hate is the political correctness about this, right? I now feel every time if I say LGBTQ, that's not politically correct. I now have to say LGBTQIA. LGBTQIA, XYZ,
You're saying it wrong.
element of P. Like, it's just, that I think is what bothers me the most. a lot of people have an issue with the T, and not the Q necessarily.
Yeah.
But they have an issue with the T because they're saying that's a completely different, thing. It's not within the, LGB spectrum or whatever.
Right.
I don't have an issue with it necessarily. I just, and I can see, I can see why queer, especially since today queer is considered, when you refer to someone as queer, you mean, they're gay, homosexual, whatever. But that's not necessarily the meaning of the actual word. Queer is just, something unusual, unique, different. And so, I don't see how that pertains. I guess you could say by me being gay, I'm different and unique. However, I think our whole argument is that, just because we're gay, we're the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
So, I guess putting in the Q really doesn't make much sense. Yeah, because the whole idea of this umbrella, LGBT, is that we're all the same, we're all similar, colors of the rainbow. And so when you're, saying, queer, different, it kind of stands out more. So I can see where you're coming from, Justin.
Yeah, Justin, I totally can see where you're coming from. I think for me personally, I don't know, it doesn't really matter to me. I don't get too, hung up on like categories or labels or anything. I know a lot of people like ask me, should I call you she or he or they?
Yeah.
I know you're non-binary, but you're a drag queen, but you're gay. Honestly, I don't care. I really don't care. Call me Zane. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, all of the labels, all of the thing, it's just, I think respecting the other person, you respect me. Don't get too hung up on the labels. Yeah.
That's exactly. And that's, I think, part of the reason why I really also don't care when people ask to be called they or they, ze, whatever.
Yeah.
There's so many different labels that people want to be called. I don't mind, calling you whatever you want to be called.
Yeah.
What I do mind is if I make a mistake and don't call you the label that you want to be called, I don't want to be called homophobic, right? Like, also, I find it...
attacked.
Or attacked or anything, yeah.
Yeah, anything negative.
I have a really hard time referring to an individual person as they, right? Because they, don't identify with, whatever sex they are. I have a really hard time calling them they, but just because they to me is a plural as opposed to a singular, and so but I've obviously respected people that wanted to, but I think we're making such a big deal out of labels in our society today.
It's a distraction.
It's a distraction. It really is.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. It really is a shame. But I am seeing quite a few. I mean, people are saying that basically they think the Q should be dropped. Again, I would not be opposed to the Q dropping. I don't mind it. I also I really don't oppose it dropping as well. I think there's now they're also saying that the Q is no longer for queer. Now Q is for questioning. So you could be gay, lesbian, bi, trans, and questioning. So who knows? It's all just really messy now. It's become really messy.
Yeah. Ting, I like it. Just call me Ting. There you go, Ting.
I love it.
I'm with you.
DJ is asking, I'm working on a conservative gay Cuban show with a friend. Love it. And was wondering any... Julie!
Oh, thank you, Julie.
Thank you so much. Say hi to your daughter. Yay. Oh my goodness, thank you guys. Well, thank you for staying involved, and thank you for just being inquisitive.
Yes.
It's really cool too. I forgot. Did you tell us how old your daughter is? I don't remember. Did you tell us she was
I don't remember.
Is she 14? I don't remember exactly. I don't remember if you told us or not. But I just think it's so cool. It's really cool when young people are inquisitive, informed, and just curious. Really, really curious.
And I'm glad that we can help as well. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, thank you.
Rebecca, 14.
14. All right, I was right. I knew I remembered.
Oh, she's 14. Okay, good.
I knew I remembered.
Right.
I said, okay, good. So you did tell us. Okay, so where was I? I'm working on a conservative gay Cuban show with a friend and was wondering any advice and how do you make the icon for this show before you go on live? I think that would be a Zane question. I don't know if you have do you have the answer for it?
So basically, DJ, real quick, if you're doing it off of your phone, there is the little camera icon in the top right-hand corner. You press on there, and then there's an option to go live. and then you create it, and then you can schedule it out to whenever. And yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. And then you just put in a thumbnail for, I think that's what you're referring to it as an icon.
It's the icon.
And you just upload your own thumbnail. You just press the pencil in the top right-hand corner and edit that. I hope that answered DJ.
I also really love what John said. Being a straight male, helping my cousin who is part of the LGBTQ or the LGBT community, I just tell my niece, born male, that I love her unconditionally, so long as she is a good citizen.
There you go. Yeah, good person.
Can you say anything better than that? I mean,
Yeah.
that is literally the best answer, I
Yeah.
think, possible.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool. And again, it just shows you all of these misrepresentations of conservatives are so incorrect, right? I mean, look, this is obviously the majority, I think, of the people, you know, that are part of this group are conservative leaning. And look how many, you know, gays, how many lesbians are part of it, how many, you know, straight Christian religious allies we have, and how many straight males are willing to, you know, take care of their nieces, are willing to help whenever necessary and needed. It's just, it's heartwarming. And it's I think that is the story that needs to be told with Republicans. And that's why I think, you know, voices like ours, just because we're speaking up, and other conservatives who are, you know, I love Rob Smith. Rob Smith, you know, he's a black gay man who is an Iraq War veteran, and he's working with Turning Point USA. He's incredible, really incredible with all the work that he's doing. And I think that is a really good representation of what the Republican Party, you know, is and what it can become as well in the future. And I think that's why we're seeing more and more minorities move towards the Republican Party. Again, it's very, very slow and it's very, very small. And I really hope that the Republicans are able to keep the gains that were made under Trump, because I think if Trump had another 4 years, we would have seen another, you know, maybe not even 4% shift like we did, or 5% shift like we saw with most of the minorities. I think we would see like a 10% shift on top of the 5 that we've already seen, so a total of 15% shift if Trump had another 4 years. And I really, really hope the Republicans are going to do the outreach that's necessary to the black community.
Now's the time to put in that work.
Yeah.
Now's the time to put in the work.
And also, you know, I think what Trump did that Republicans don't do is he went after high-profile people, after, you know, famous people who would support him and help him. You know, rappers, you know, all of these like high-profile people. And I think it's so important because that's something that the Democrats have been doing for years now. And it really helps. Unfortunately, it really helps because there's a lot of people that look up to these people and, you know, vote based on what this person's telling them, or they're willing to think a little bit differently, open their mind because their favorite rapper said something. I think that is incredibly important. And I think that's part of the reason why every election cycle we're seeing, you know, all these Democrats constantly doing concerts with, you know, Beyonce, Jay-Z, Katy Perry, all these people, because they know it works. It didn't work well, you know, 4 years ago. But it worked, you know, in 2012, it worked in 2008, and it's worked in 2020, unfortunately.
Yeah. The age of social media.
Yeah, the age of social media.
Really has changed everything.
Yeah. You're all good.
Thank you, Lucas.
Justin saying, so what do you say we all go to French Laundry for Thanksgiving for an indoor meal?
Loves this idea. Who's paying? No.
No, love that idea. Oh my God, we would
I know
love
what you're referring to. Yeah.
Yeah, love French Laundry. Oh my goodness. I mean, is that are they allowed to be open? Are they one of the counties that's allowed to be open in
I love it.
California
Newsom pays.
Newsom. Actually,
I love it. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it's really funny.
That's absolutely.
I would love to do that. Funny enough, I mean, that's obviously, I think, a thing on Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
Which, again, it's just another example. Pelosi, Newsom, you know,
I love it. Try out the Pelosi pays.
Pelosi pays.
They split the bill.
Gosh.
For the whole state, everybody's invited.
Yeah, well, Ting says the French Laundry thing makes me angry. Rules for thee, not for me. Exactly.
Yeah.
This is okay. So this is, I think, what is like so just like makes me so angry, right? Because this is something that we're seeing everywhere. It's not just American politicians, it's literally politicians all around the world. Even in Italy, where they were hit really, really hard, this is a constant. But what bothers me the most is when you have, these governors, these representatives from really, really progressive states where, they're literally shutting down everything. The homeless population, it seems like it more than quadrupled.
Worse.
It's gone
Really
so
bad.
bad here. You cannot go anywhere without homeless and tents, everywhere. People are really struggling. I'm talking to, our neighbors who are not getting enough hours at work, who are worried, who are still not working. And then you have, the who get, to do as they please and only regret it once they get caught. I'm just curious, how many times was Nancy Pelosi caught without her face mask? How many times Nancy Pelosi was not caught without her face mask, and how many times Gavin Newsom had dinner parties, and
he just happened to be caught at that one.
Yeah. Exactly. So to me, this is just
hypocrisy.
It's hypocrisy. It makes me so angry, and I just don't think enough people know about it. That's the problem. Not everyone pays attention as much as this group obviously does. And that's a real big problem. That people don't pay attention, and if they do, they don't care, because it gets swept under the rug. Like everything that the Democrats and liberals do, it's all gets swept under the rug. And look, it's really interesting. All of these social media giants who refused to share the story about Hunter Biden and China and Russia and everything that's happening. And now we find out it's all true. As a matter of fact, now there's even more evidence. So not only did they, back in September, when they opened the investigation and submitted, I think, like 65 pages of evidence of all the, Hunter Biden allegations, now they came out and said there's way more that they're submitting and adding on top of that. And all of that, when all these, CNN wouldn't report on it, MSNBC wouldn't report on it, Twitter, Facebook, all of these, YouTube would ban you. I mean, all of these companies that are doing all these crazy things, and now it's all true and it's all real, and people voted, had no idea, and now we have a Biden president. How many people would not have voted for Biden had they or thought this is actually credible, right? When people voted about, when people knew about the emails, there was a lot of people that changed their minds, in the last week or 2 weeks of the election because of the emails. How many people would have changed their minds because of what we know now about Biden? And it's too late. That's what makes me so angry about this. And I think that's also something that really terrifies me as well, because I think that in these 4 years, social media giants are going to be able to have their hold on society and on free speech that much more. And I think that's why it's such a shame, because Republicans really don't have a lot of time to do anything about this. I think if they had the 4 years, they would have, but they don't have, in the, 9 however weeks that are left for Trump to be president, they don't have enough time to really make any changes when it comes to social media giants. And I'm really worried that in the next 4 years, they're just going to, have their claws that much more into our free speech and basically eliminate it that much more. It's going to be really, really scary. I'm really seeing a lot of similarities between, what I was, I didn't grow up in Soviet Russia, in Soviet Union, but I see a lot of similarities between what my, parents and elderly warned me about and told me about to what is happening now in the U.S. And interestingly enough, I think a lot of people who come and remember what it's like to live under a socialist, authoritarian, totalitarian, communist regime, a lot of them, that's why I think they voted for Trump, is because they realize and they're seeing the steps that we're moving towards. That's why Cubans voted majority for Trump. I think that's why a lot of Russian Americans are actually voting for Trump. I think that's why so many Asians, 7% of Asians, more by 7%, the Asian vote has increased towards Republicans. Because I think people who are coming from these, really communist, socialists, whether they're democratically a socialist, communist country, whatever you want to call them, they see the America moving in the same direction, and they're scared. They're genuinely scared, and that's why they voted for Trump. And the result is what it is. We have what we have. So Okay, you guys. Well, any more last
questions. Send in any of your guys' last questions.
I do like what DJ said, CNN, China News Network. I was wondering, I'm like, what do I change it with from Clinton? Because it's no longer, it doesn't apply anymore. So Chinese News Network, love it. That's my new my new thing. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Well, you guys, if you have any more questions, let us know. We knew today was going to be kind of a shorter day. A lot, there's just a lot of preparations to do, and yeah. Also, unfortunately, my sister was not feeling well, so she wasn't able to come and walk our old puppies.
Our
So,
babies, our fur babies.
So they also are asking to go out. We did take them out earlier, but they need to go out again.
Yeah.
But we hope everyone has a really great Thanksgiving.
Lynn, they are doing well. It's interesting. It all depends on the weather. If it's nice and sunny outside, he's doing well.
Surprisingly, our oldest, he's actually doing quite well in the last couple of days, which we're really, really happy about. It's just so scary because it's literally, oh, Julie!
Julie, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. What do I think will happen if Trump takes back the election? Ooh, wow, what a great question. Okay, I think we are going to have so many riots, it's not going to be even funny. I think that's why, it's such a disservice that they're making this seem like Trump is trying to power grab. He's doing what dictators do, and he doesn't want to. No, what he's saying is there's so much election fraud. There's a lot of proof there. Unfortunately, there's not enough proof to show that the election fraud is actually going to overturn the results. At least they haven't shown anything, but maybe they're keeping their cards close to their chest and they're going to show it in court. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't think it's actually going to happen. But if it does, and I hope it does, I don't think it will, but if it does, I think the amount of bloodshed that we're going to see on the streets is going to be scary, absolutely scary. And I think we're going to see it for a good 4 years. For 4 years, Trump has been dealing with this idea that he's an illegitimate president because he lost the popular vote, and all of these crazy things. And I think now you're going to have popular vote twice in a row, on top of this, and basically what everyone knows except conservatives, what everyone in the country knows and abroad is that the elections were fair. They were balanced. There was no fraud. Everything was fine. Biden won, fair and square. That's what everyone knows. And part of that is because, the media is just really working overtime to help the Biden campaign, because I think the media is worried that that something might change. And that's why they're actually working so hard for the Biden campaign, because they don't want to see the election results overturned.
Yeah.
And so they're making it almost impossible for election officials to overturn these results because of this crazy public pressure. And again, think about it. If this goes to the Supreme Court, what is Judge Barrett going to do after being nominated by Trump?
Yeah.
And after Trump said we might need her for the Supreme Court, turns out he's right. Again, another, he foresaw this happening. But what's going to happen if she's the vote that helps overturn the election? I think it's going to make him that much more, so many people are going to be screaming, not my president. It's going to make it that much more.
Answer your question in a minute, Ed.
So that really, that really scares me. I think we're going to see, what we saw in the last 4 years, Antifa is nothing compared to what we'll see if Trump is successful. Is it worth it? I think so. I think it will be worth it. But is it going to be scary and really uncertain times? Absolutely as well.
No. Ed, and I think Triumphant Wolf asked, and a couple of people also asked about our Zoom.
Yes!
Yes, we are going to schedule a Zoom. Speaking of which, we were also debating and throwing around the idea of actually doing a New Year's Eve live. If you guys are interested in doing that, we're not sure. We're just throwing around the idea. Not sure if we're going to do it or not. But if you guys are interested in doing a New Year's Eve Live, make sure that you comment in the video, not in the chat, but comment in the video part and say, yes, New Year's Live, and do a thumbs up so we know like how many people would actually be a part of it.
Yeah. So we were really thinking every year we usually do something together, and we usually go away somewhere for New Year's. So we were thinking of still going away, but actually celebrating New Year's with you guys. And so we were really curious. We didn't know, because we don't know. I mean, it's a weird year, and usually on New Year's people are either with family or friends.
Yeah.
They go out, they do things. So this is kind of like a weird year, and we don't know,
Plus, I feel like so much can happen from now until
New Year's,
to New Year's Eve. So if you guys do want to do it, comment in the video section, not in the live chat, but in the comment section. Yes, New Year's Live, thumbs up, and we'll see.
I love Jenny saying, "Go comment now, everyone." I love it. Okay, cool. I am saying a lot of.
And then wait, hold on. To continue that, Ed, for the Zoom, you wanted to do a group Zoom chat. We absolutely love this idea. We want to do this. We will actually be sending that out in the newsletter. So anybody who signed up for the newsletter, we will schedule a time. We'll have different time slots.
Where should they go to sign up for the newsletter?
A newsletter, houseofdemaj.com/stay up to date. And also too, I think we have it in the description box of the live as well. So if you're part of the newsletter, you will get a notification about the Zoom meeting, and we will schedule that out.
Yes, definitely. We are basically trying to figure out if we want to do the Zoom meeting before the holidays. I mean, obviously not before Thanksgiving, but before New Year's, before Thanksgiving, and before Christmas, or if we want to do it like right afterwards, kind of, the second week after New Year's or the first week after New Year's, something like that. That's kind of what we're debating in terms of the Zoom.
And for people who don't know what we're talking about, we were talking about doing something completely separate from the YouTube Live, doing a Zoom so we can actually engage with you guys on a visual level as well.
Yes. I think it'd be so much fun. And honestly, I think the one thing I'm really looking forward to is being able to like have a Zoom maybe like one day without being in drag. Like, I love getting in drag. It's really fun. Obviously today I had a makeup challenged day, but I think it'd be so cool to just like see each other, because we're gonna see everyone during the Zoom. But I think it'd be so cool to like be able to like everyone to see us too, behind the mask, behind the behind the drag.
Behind the mask.
I really hope we'll be able to do that eventually. I think that would be so fun. At least once, just so we can like really just
why not
really connect on that level. I think it'd be really fun.
Yeah.
So
okay, so Ed, I hope that answered your and Triumphant Wolf and several others. I hope that answered your question on the Zoom. New Year's. Hi, Cher.
Hi, Cher.
Unfortunately, we're actually wrapping up everything right now. So sorry.
But we're so glad you made it anyways.
Yes.
For a little bit.
This is our last live before Thanksgiving, so we want to say Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And I love everyone Happy Thanksgiving. I'm loving all of the messages for everyone, just wishing everyone Thanksgiving. I'm loving everyone that says, yes, let's do New Year's. So we will definitely look at all the comments and everything. We'll send out a newsletter as well. Tell us what you think about the Zoom, if it should be before the holidays or after. Because there's so many, a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people are preparing for the holidays this year or not preparing. There's so much uncertainty out there. So we thought it could be nice to have it done before. We also thought it could be fun to, meet the 2021 all together, kind of like meet it together as well after New Year's.
Yes.
So we'll see. And
yeah.
And
if anybody's going to any of the protests tomorrow or the next coming days, be safe, be careful, and be kind.
And Jenny's asking, how do we sign up for the newsletter again?
Jenny, newsletter, houseofdemaj.com /
houseofdemaj.com / stay up to date.
There we go. Okay, you guys. Well, happy Thanksgiving, and until
next time,
next time, yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was really fun.